I am Netmuvasitan. And time for a bit more variety. In fact, towards the end, it will be something fairy tale related, just not anything European. Sasha saw what was in a letter and noted that whoever sent it to him was still as arrogant as ever. He then ordered Kat to come to his room. It was about an educational workshop, a meeting held in a large branch in the north of that nest, giving a lecture about the skills that helped survive the recent magical girl calamity. Yes, I know, anime come to life. A bad situation for anyone, isn't it? Anyway, they were inviting the captain of a randomly chosen team, along with two of the most capable employees. Most capable meaning those that survive long enough. And this was happening from several branches, believing that it wouldn't hurt to take a break from work and drop by. A short trip. Kat was chosen, and Rose and Tai would come with her. Apparently, Kat agreed to this, and she arrived at the bus station, bus terminal, whatever you want to call it, and then Rose was not long after her. Kat disliked being tardy like a child. Rose also preferred to wait for others to arrive. Kat wasn't a fan of buses. Then again, you're not a fan of being outside the branch. That's why you're in the dormitories, so you don't have to deal with that. Tai had also just arrived. They then went on the bus to go to this branch that the workshop is being held. Tai then made her seat recline, something that can be done on buses that travel across the city. It's been a long time since she went to the north of that nest. Apparently there are more skyscrapers and lots of amenities. Yes, every nest is different. Rose has visited more than one of them with her father. Yes, two differences that can occur are clothing and architecture. Well, that's certainly true, as District 14 has all white buildings. The minimalist look. Oh, sorry, a little spoiler there. Tai was impressed by this, and Kat has not been to other nests. She only knows the nest of the Lobotomy Corporation and her previous home. Rose told her that they were going somewhere new that day. They should take their time, asking where she wanted to go the most. She replied, "The ocean." Tai then mentioned that she grew up in a coastal town. Rose saying that they should go together, the three of them, at some point after. Then they arrived along with other agents from different branches. They were then greeted by Alex, one of the agents of that particular branch, the guide for that session. He then noted that all of them were in plain clothes. Oh, sorry, I should have mentioned that. They weren't in uniform for that. He handed them an armband to indicate the group activity. Then he was captivated by the charm in Rose's eyes, the blue of her eyes gleaming like glass. It was his earnest wish to be an abnormality managed by her. Alex, if you knew what the Lobotomy Corporation did, how abnormalities were made, you wouldn't be saying that. Then he handed Kat her armband. Rose then said to head in and told Alex to lead the way. Alex then mentioned that the branches have all the same departments, only the facility having a lower layer, as in records and extraction, along with central command. As for the abnormalities of that branch, both Tai and Rose wanted to know what was there. Alex was willing to do so, handing out pamphlets on what they'll see there. 2 of these abnormalities are Aleph types, as in the one type that, well, it's time to go to Brown Alert with. Well, Red Alert would be too mild to describe that. Where if they breach, you'd better attack in force, otherwise you've already lost by the time you encounter them. The other agents observed purple handprints on the glass, one of them asking if it's dangerous to be that close. Alex assured them that it never breaks. It's made of a custom synthetic glass and fortified walls. It's far more resilient. In fact, it takes much more punishment than even your average containment unit. As for what's in that one, it's Titania, the Fairy Queen. This one is an Aleph type, an aberration of the Fairy Festival. Yes, this is an aberration that's stronger than the original. It's always looking for its husband, Oberon, never tiring of declaring that he is her nemesis who stole her child. A child that doesn't exist as its abnormality. Yes, Titania and Oberon featured in William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. That's one notable example of fiction. Tai thought the Fae were cute. Alex mentioned that this abnormality was different from its lower threat level counterparts. Tai wanted to know more. Alex advised caution as Rose observed the Fae. Alex observed this and asked if it felt like she was looking in a mirror, observing her sharp and aloof figure. Its EGO gear was in the shape of the Queen's garments, truly gorgeous. He'd love to her if she wore it. Wait, are you chatting Rose up? Yep, clearly he has no problem with workplace romance. Then Kat interrupted them and asked about an aberration of nothing there. She wanted to see that. The aberration known as Nobody Is, which, like nothing there, wants to mimic humans. This one desires to imitate others, but wanting to become an individual with a distinct personality rather than being like a lyrebird, that which copies something without understanding what it was they were copying. They wish to become someone special, an instinct stemming from status, seeing it as an instinct. that matches their role as a privileged class to lead them. Right. Rose didn't know what he meant, as clearly they understand things differently. Well, clearly he didn't know that she knows about how things are outside that nest. In the dormitory, which Tai thought was a hotel room based on how good it was there, and she was with Rose and Kat in their pyjamas, well, that which they wear when sleeping, Rose noted the bubble faucet in the bath. Kat couldn't be bothered as she was lying down the chair. Tai offered her to use the bed to lie down, as it's big enough to fit 5. Rose offered to ask for her own room. Kat was fine there, on that chair. Tai wanted her to come and play with them on the bed, offering snacks. Kat still didn't look interested. Rose handed her a bag of beef jerky. She accepted it. Well, at least that hasn't changed about her. Rose asked Tai if she has any of those milk cookies left from the bus. Tai understood that they could watch movies together. While they were watching a black and white movie on the TV, the phone rang, which annoyed Tai. Kat then picked up the phone and told what was on the other side that they were the visiting team from branch O-5681 and told them to state their business. They hung up, and then there was a suppression alert. Central Command was under attack. Oh, so Central Command was shared between the other 5 sections in the branches, where there was an emergency suppression request. Rose asked if it was a concern of theirs. Kat then told them to turn off the television. Then an axe came through the door. Much to the surprise of Rose and Tai, narrowly missing Kat, with a clerk from that branch demanding them to open the door, as if they were a crazed Jack Nicholson in The Shining. Here's whoever that clerk was. As the door was bashed down, Kat attacked that clerk by kicking them while doing the handstand, and then grabbing their weapon. She asked if their safety was breached, or if this clerk was a nutjob. That clerk hated workshops as it caused them to lower their guard. Then a flower sprouted from their chest. Kat wasn't disturbed by that, especially when the Fae swarmed around this clerk, and flowers were growing out of their eyes. Tai understood that they were in deep, and Rose asked her to look them up. Apparently, the Fae transform into small orbs of light, and breaches containment at an unknown chance. They were scouts looking for Oberon, holding a flower that symbolizes her ambivalence towards him. When above the head of an agent, or even a clerk, it spills nectar. It can make flowers bloom from the victim. If specks of light circle around the employee, they can be shaken off with either red or white attacks, as if suppressing them. Kat noted that Alex didn't warn them about this. Rose saw this as him slacking off. Yeah, we all have our bad days, but in this case, bad days can be disastrous. Tai asked if they should stay inside, as it's that branch's abnormality. Kat considered the dormitory as safe, as a clerk was desperately trying to get in, but she quickly changed her mind and told them to head to the surface when they started to fly in, through the hole in the door that the clerk had recently made. Not having time to change into their clothes, still in their pajamas, they started running, Tai remembering that they were on the 5th basement floor. They then saw one of the other agents they saw earlier, telling them to turn back and get to the stairwell, Tai asking why. It was because fools panicked after seeing the fairies making flowers bloom out of people, causing them to open up every containment unit in sight. Their colleague took the emergency stairs, so they should hopefully be alright. Tai understood that a single mistake can bring a whole branch down. Rose noting that gold is glittery, yet soft. The agents that they met didn't have time for chatter. They then opened the door to find that nobody was on the other side of it, and had sprouted arms and legs. They ran away from this, asking why was it there, asking why they held a workshop where they couldn't even handle their own trouble. Then they were suspended in place by Titania, asking if they were Oberon, the one who applied the concoction of baneful herb to its eyes. Then it realized that they were a mere human, so offered to rid them of their pains, to be reborn as a flower. That agent was then turned into a flower, with fae swarming around it. Rose knew that this wasn't the way to go. Kat asked if they were going to the stairwell. Rose asked if it was wise, considering that the cocoon of nobody is there. Kat noted that a cocoon is a form that doesn't do anything, implying that there is a chance that they can get past it safely enough. You know what? It's never a good sign when the mad person is the voice of reason. They snuck past nobody successfully. Tai noting that it looked like human muscles. Rose knew that there were no containment units on that floor that they were on. Unfortunately, it was already full of abnormalities. Then Tai saw fairies ahead of them. Rose asked Kat what to do. She advised quickly going past them, as they lacked EGO suits in that narrow passage. This was done by leaping up to the next part of the stairwell, which Kat did easily. Rose and Tai, not so well, but they were successful with each other's assistance. Then Kat found something that made her say that it was a good idea to come there, as she looked in wonder at something. She found a crowbar and forced that door open. She was gleeful at finding the EGO storage, hoping for stocks of LF-level equipment. Tai was worried that there might not be any there. Rose was more hopeful, Kat was certain. Rose understood that if they put them on, their survivability increases. Tai wasn't sure if they could handle such high-level suits. Then Kat found something, a suit that was likely derived from Nobody Is, and the other two wore suits derived from Titania. Tai saw it as quite nice, but Rose was having a harder time, as flower-shaped decorations were growing on her nails, and her breath was smelling like air freshener. Kat knew this to be EGO corruption, where she explained, provided an in-universe explanation to why suits in-game have level restrictions on them, at least the ones that are only good. That applies to weapons too, where if you forcefully put on something that's above the level that you can handle, you become assimilated with it. But thankfully, it won't happen overnight. As long as they don't wear it too long, they should be fine, so they should enjoy it while they still have access to it. Tai understood, and Rose hoped that she didn't grow insectile joints. Then Kat was alerted to something. They were faced with Nobody Is, who looked at them with a single eye and extended its hands at them. They moved out of the way of the extending tendrils in time. Kat dodged out of the way, buying time for them, telling them to move past it. Rose told Kat that she was putting herself in danger. Kat told them that she wouldn't die. Well, not if she could help it. She doesn't have the same confidence in them. They understood and ran away. She kicked the head of Nobody Is, and then something hit it. She saw that it was Alex holding a whip derived from this abnormality. Rose then asked what he was doing. He told her to go, as he needed to take responsibility for his failure. An apology for putting lives in danger. Yes, everyone's lives were in peril, especially hers. He devoted his life to a transient moment of love. Rose then ran the other way, not wanting to stick around for the rest of his monologue. Then Alex engaged in battle against Nobody Is. After Alex took care of Nobody Is, he walked around the flowers and then was met by Titania. Seeing Alex as its nemesis, its beloved devil, the abhorrent name of the one who stole its child, Oberon, asking if that's who he is. Then it's revealed that Alex is not Alex at all, but rather Nobody Is, after taking Alex's form. And Nobody Is asked if all those beautiful things were its children. Titania referred to them as flowers. Nobody Is spoke of being born moments ago, pondering what he should live as and how he is to live. Titania asked if he was Oberon. Regardless of his struggles to live, those who remembered him and his memories of them would vaporize in the end, no trace behind to each other. If he earned a name, would he receive love and hate from it? Will it remember his name as someone it emotionally cared for? Then he said yes, he was Oberon. Then they embraced in a way that I'm unable to accurately describe as there's too much going on. It involved flowers, Fae, and Titania scattering around. Yes, those two Aleph aberrations were made for each other. As Kat, Rose, and Tai were running for the main entrance, Kat felt a quake, telling them to run faster as abnormalities were being fought just below. Tai believing that it was the doing of Nobody Is. Kat, however, knew better, as someone had just pressed the bury site button upstairs, which meant that the site was being buried, where the employment contract, specifically the confidentiality article, which likely said something along the lines of, if you have a problem being buried alive rather than being brutally killed due to the failing of containing the abnormalities that you agreed to keep contained, you're and we'll make sure that you can't speak of this to the outside, as it make this look bad. The announcement also added that the stockpile of energy was being transferred to the facility. Tai observed that the door was locked, asking if Kat can unlock it. Unfortunately, the triple lock door activated after the broadcast ended. As the transfer was, 89% complete, Rose decided to at least try and break the glass, telling the others to do it together. Tai asking what should she do, as the transfer was 95% complete. Kat then picked her up and threw her at the glass door, breaking it, knocking her unconscious but providing a way for them to leave, just before the building that they were in collapsed. Later, they were sat on a grassy hill and Kat laughed at this, seeing this as the best vacation ever. I am glad that Kat is not a blood knight. Otherwise, every time that she's in battle, she'd have way too much fun. Tai noted that Kat had never been seen so happy. Rose asked what would happen with the survivors stuck down there. Well, if they were fortunate, they'd be killed and it'd be gotten over with. If they were not fortunate, they'd be turned into minions of the abnormalities. Well, those that make minions anyway. And be worse than dead. Tai wasn't sure what would happen with the LF-level abnormalities left unsuppressed. Rose asked if they could dig through the debris and climb to the surface. Tai wasn't sure what to do with the EGO suits they took. I'm guessing that there were no weapons in storage there, because if that was the case, Kat would have used them during Nobody Is, or more specifically, the fight with Nobody Is. Kat felt sorry for the luggage left behind. Tai was troubled by this due to the fact that she wore new clothes to that workshop. Then Rose saw the lights come back on at the bus stop. They then took the first ride home. Well, I'd take those suits off and put on something safer when you get back, before they take you over. Sometime after this, we move on to the next story, where the disciplinary department sees a video of two girls in a containment unit asking why did they despise them so? Why did they bear so much hatred that wished for their demise? Had they spoken a single word? Had they spoken that they loathed them so much? Ah, woe is them. They have become sinners. Please hear them, hear of their sins, that they do not know that they have committed, and absolve them of their grief. This was a path that was, this abnormality was coming to their department in place of My Sweet Home, the Drowned Sisters, where management consists of listening to their endless ramblings. It's deep, sorrowful, and takes a toll on the agent's sanity, or Hun. Now, Hun, there's no English equivalent of this. It's apparently a key part of Korean identity. A mix of resentment, hatred, regret, sorrow, and pain are involved with it, along with a loss of identity, virtuous endurance of injustice, and holding/avenging a grudge. Although according to Kat, as she was explaining this, if you listen to what they have to say, you forget everything they say as soon as you leave the containment unit. Ah, so they're like the Silence from Doctor Who, except it doesn't happen immediately after they leave your field of vision. Finn didn't think that it would hurt Kat, as she was heartless. It wouldn't give her any mental damage. Rose stepped on his foot to tell him to shut his hole. Ella, who was in this briefing, was the first to work on them. One had a red flower around their face, and the other had a white flower around their face. She was there to listen to their woes. They said that everything was their fault. Even in death, they couldn't find peace. After that work, Ella was hit hard by it. Tai was concerned when Ella said that she couldn't remember a single thing that they said, but her head and heart were feeling sore. She would need more time to recover. Tai understood that the risk counter would skyrocket if no one listened to their stories. I'm guessing if they're left absent too long, they could cause other abnormalities to breach. Or worse, they could drive agents insane. Well, more so than just one, if left in there too long. Ella asked what should they do. Tai wasn't sure. Apparently, they needed to have a listener even after work hours. Tai was worried if they couldn't go home. Kat agreed to handle them during nighttime, as she has no heart or home, as she lives in the dormitory. She'll handle it during nighttime. But Rose noted that it wouldn't be good for her health, as her mental health is bad enough as it is. Tai asked if she needed 10 hours of sleep a day to feel goody-good. Trust me, Tai, there aren't enough hours in the day for that. Later, Kat was unamused when Tai and Rose brought bedding, and Tai explained that it would be too unfair to leave it all to her, agreeing to take turns, much to the annoyance of Kat. Rose saw it as little difference, as annoyed was default for her. According to Tai, they never got to play the whole time they were at the workshop session. They didn't finish the movie either. According to Rose, she was looking forward to seeing that movie, specifically the ending of it. She found answers via the life and thoughts of the characters in such films. It's why she likes them. Tai didn't get to watch them when she was a child, as she was in the ocean for amusement. Yes, she was surrounded by various creatures, feeling as if her being and the world outside were nothing. She felt reborn after coming back up to the surface. As for Kat, she did all she could to survive during her childhood. Yeah, she's clearly from the back streets, considering those words. Tai saw being alive as the best thing one can do. She saw fish being eaten alive before they could feel resentment or sadness. Living and feeling might seem pointless, but traces are left on somebody or something until they die. Marks of life, signs or emotions. They never truly disappear, even if they perish. Rose was happy that she was alive. Kat slept, and then, sometime later, she woke up and was scared, but then she found Tai and Rose drinking a lot of coffee and barely staying awake. She seemed relieved, thinking, what perishes, yet does not. this abnormality is based on a Korean fairy tale known as Janghwa Hongreyeon, or the story of Janghwa and Hongreyeon. Yes, sorry, butchering the pronunciation, aren't I? Basically, the wife of a man had a dream where an angel gave her a beautiful flower. She gave birth to Janghwa, rose flower, and Hongreyeon, or red lotus, over the next few years, and not long after, their mother died. Their father remarried, and their stepmother was as ugly inside as she was outside, only revealing her hatred of them when she bore 3 sons in a row, which gave her license, at least as far as she was concerned, to abuse them in every possible way. When Janghwa came of age and got engaged, not wanting to pay for the wedding, she deceived their father into thinking that his daughter bore a child out of wedlock, with one of her sons' help, involving a rat fetus, which caused Janghwa to run out of the house. She was then drowned by her stepmother's eldest son, which literally cost him an arm and a leg due to being attacked by a huge tiger. Hongreyeon followed her sister sometime after her stepmother was even more abusive to her than she already was. This led to a curse that caused a mayor dying a day after he arrived. Then his successor came to that village, and it was revealed that the ghosts of these sisters killed the previous mayors, likely out of the fear of seeing these ghosts. He, however, was stronger. He asked them why. It was because they wanted them to know the truth, that they were framed by, Janghwa was framed by her stepmother into making her father believe that she was unchaste and committed suicide due to the shame, and then murdered by her half-brother. He examined the miscarried fetus in front of the sister's family. As the sister's ghosts instructed, and it was revealed to be a rat. For this, the evidence that the sisters were murdered, their stepmother and her eldest son were sentenced to death. The father was deceived, so he wasn't seen as an accessory to their crimes. In the end, the sisters were reincarnated as twin girls, born from his 3rd wife, who presumably was not as morally bankrupt as the 2nd wife. Oh yes, there are other aberrations, some that were mentioned, but weren't dealt with. Well, that will change in the next video. Until next time. Hail the rabbit!